Well, throughout my adult life, I have found my life changed by reading a variety of books. Sometimes they're books that I strongly disagreed with and they forced me to think. Sometimes they're books that really helped me develop a Christian worldview, really helped me understand something very important to my Christian faith. One of the first books that I read like this was really two books in one. It was a debate between Erasmus and Martin Luther on the subject of the will. Believe it or not, I read these when I was 17 years old, so I've been interested in theology and these sorts of things for a long time. I read Erasmus's Freedom of the Will, and then I read Martin Luther's book, The Bondage of the Will, which was a response to Erasmus. By the way, what happened was somebody had encouraged me or challenged me to read Martin Luther's book, and being the kind of person that I am who always wants to get both sides, I went and read Erasmus first and then read Luther's response. Well, Luther won that debate hands down. And what Luther did in that book was he convinced me of a basically reformational understanding of sin and salvation. He convinced me that I was not able to do anything for my own salvation or for my own sanctification, even in my own strength, that God had to make the first move to bring me out of spiritual bondage into the life and light of the gospel. And it just changed my whole way of thinking. Before I read that, I was basically humanistic in my thinking. Even though I had recently become a Christian, I still had a lot of humanism to unlearn. And reading the Erasmus-Luther debate really solidified a very transformational understanding of the Christian life for me. Another book that I read not too long after that, very different sort of subject, was F.F. Bruce's books, actually several of them. New Testament Documents, Are They Reliable? And New Testament History are two of the standouts. Of course, I recommended New Testament Documents, Are They Reliable, to people everywhere I went, because it's a very small, little, inexpensive paperback book that you can read in an hour and a half, and it really gives you a solid understanding of why the New Testament documents are reliable, just as the title promises. And the New Testament history book was just filled with rich insights into the historical background of the New Testament and the historical integrity and authenticity of the New Testament. And I just found that both personally fascinating and also very encouraging to, as far as trusting what the Bible says, but also very helpful in being able to have the kinds of answers that I needed, first for myself and then for others, as we talk about why do you believe the Bible, why do you believe that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. The books of F.F. Bruce were very formative in my developing an understanding of New Testament studies. So those are some of the things that initially kind of kicked off my thinking, both in the areas of theology and biblical studies. I've actually, of course, done a lot of reading in apologetics, and if I had to single out two apologists that were the most crucial in my thinking, those would be C.S. Lewis and Francis Schaeffer. Of course, probably almost everybody says that that's interested in apologetics, because both Schaeffer and Lewis were just so influential and so good at what they did, as far as not just giving information, but the way they expressed it was so literate and so interesting and fascinating. But I've always been a big fan since reading them of both C.S. Lewis and Francis Schaeffer.